Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing this morning? Good morning, Jake. Yeah, Empire State Index, huge miss. We see it over here. Empire State, where is it? Coming in at minus 11.8 versus forecast of 7. I call that a huge miss. Let's say good morning, Ted. Let's do this. Hey, wavy. Crude down another 70%. I, you know what? We just got to trade the price action with what we saw. Gold and silver, both from the head and shoulders tops. Commodities are getting beat up a little now, which is a fantastic thing. Doesn't change the long term perspective, but we shouldn't be surprised at this. Nobody should be surprised at this. And it looks like we're trying to put in the market bottom. PPI coming in a little better than expected, but everybody's like, "Oh, it's inflation. It's not as bad." Well, it came in at 8.4 core PPI year over year. That's not as bad. Yeah, it's not as bad as what was forecast, but it's still worse than previous. But they're ever celebrating the core PPI coming in at only a 2% increase versus forecast of 6. Um, Loving these metal prices. Curious if there's any partial ad plays in gold and oil yet. We will take a quick look. Good morning, all. Empire Stadium back. Yeah. Forecast 6.5, price is 3.1. Yep, the huge miss in there. Good morning, Ken. I know that you traded price action, but you feel the bottom is close in the overall market. Could there be more pressure downward? As I said, I've been watching for a bottom, and we could be. I was watching for it at the beginning of this week, first 3 days. Now we're going to look at price action, and we have to wait for it to confirm. There's a little break nice above out of some severe oversold conditions. So could it be today? It might be. Going to keep watching for the continued upside move. Good morning. It will be another bloody day. I don't think so. With oil back at 95, what's your top 1, 2, or 3 oil plays? Again, I'm still looking for stuff yet. I'm still looking for. I might have something by this afternoon. Still got to scan through stuff and see how some price action looks at today's pullback. Good morning, Sterling. How many days can Chinese market fall at this place? Since you probably asked that, the temporary bottom is in. Probably. I'm joking with you, Abraham, but when people are getting so bearish, and I'm not saying longer term it can't go lower, but I'm saying shorter term it might be in. By the way, I'll refresh the FOMC tool, and at 99.8%, we already knew this. So that's coming in. So let's take a look at stuff. Again, economic calendar. We got a lot of stuff out of the way this morning. And so everything's sort of, we're just going to keep trading off the price action. Here's what we're talking about. S&P, let's take a look. S&P coming down. We had 41.30.50 as the harmonic. Nice little bounce off of that. I was watching 41.24 to 41.30 early this morning. And we got that nice little bounce off of there. And we got some pretty decent momentum coming off that bottom. Now, the other thing I was keying off of this morning was this little resistance shelf. This is short term. So you see this, we ran up to test here, then we've broken above it, retested this 41.93 level, and still holding above this. So I'm keeping an eye on the shorter term price action, 41.77, 41.78, to see if that holds. Even if you dip into it, I want to see it rotating back up. That could be confirming that we do have that short-term bottom in. You see this other level, this 41.93, which you've bounced off of. That is very significant. Prior support becoming resistance, becoming support, now resistance. But if we can break through that, you're into this still a clear path move. There are some stopping points. It's not the most wonderful clear path move. But where will I be targeting? That 42.24 again, then 42.38, then 42.54, and that's not just for today. What would change the scenario on that with the S&P? Let me switch cameras. Changing that scenario would be really if it could not hold. We got what might be getting the first cross of 4-hour rotation zone. If it can't hold this 41.77 level and then breaks back below 41.62, that's not good. That is not good at all. So that's what I will be watching. If it breaks down then below that, then I'll be targeting this lows of today, then that 4108 to 4104, 4100 to 4108. But this is actually looking pretty constructive, at least to put in a short-term bottom. Your 4-hour closing above this prior bar, so as it can manage the 4-hour close above 4170 essentially. So if it holds and closes above that, is a aggressive buy pattern for a 4-hour trade. Again, educational purposes only. And you see here this 42.24 level, the rotation zone. So that's what I'll be really focused on, the daily close. If we do continue to rally and hit up here and even get above it, I'm more focusing on how we close. If we close into it, then I'm targeting these upper areas. This will just be minor resistances, 42.55. I'll really be targeting 42.88 to about 4,300 in the short term. Remember, longer term, if this is a short-term low, we don't have a double here because it's not reversing enough of a move, but it's a pretty decent bottoming pattern. Then a longer term, I'm watching for a retest of the declining trend line and the 50 EMA. Nasdaq, sort of a similar pattern, but Nasdaq's weaker. It's not the one I'm focusing on. You see breaking above this base at 13,124, running back in this 13. I'm really focused on 13,200. Above there, you have about 13,227. And then if it can get some momentum above there, 13,370 are my upside targets. But if we break back below about 13,100, that's not so great because this is prior resistance becoming support. And remember, this is the weakest of them all. But really then, as long as it stays above 13,000, it's in an okay shape. You break back below there, I will watch for a retest of the lows. You can see with that harmonic 12,944 area bouncing off that. You can see that nicely on the shorter term charts right here. And no, this wasn't a double bottom because of this massive spike up. What I will do though is once you start closing above the candle bodies with that little strong reversal pattern and the divergence, that is a little aggressive play to the upside. So overall, looking at the bigger picture in the Nasdaq, this on a close above this high bar, this 13,089, 13,090, if it can stay above there on a 4-hour time frame, it is an aggressive 4-hour buy setup. And then remember, you're about this 13,376 to about 13,410 is your first critical level of resistance. So do keep all that in mind. I actually have to bump down that. So above there, I'd be watching again. Next key area I'd be watching for is about 13,500, 13,528. Dow, also that one's held up the best and still reversing this morning. We still have this double in play on the shorter term time frame. This price action has not invalidated it yet. So I'm still using those targets, 33,815, 34,036, and that's only if it can get a close above 33,378. Looking at this, the first little resistance is 33,100. It makes a run above there. Then I am targeting that 33,000, this area right in here, the trigger for that double. And will not ignore 33,500, 540 area with that's where it topped out before and the declining daily rotation zone. But if you can get some momentum through there, then I'm targeting those double targets. Russell trying to put in a little bottom here, but overhead resistance is 1975. If it gets back above there, we're going back to 2020. DAX, the only thing I pointed out yesterday was this little double top play coming back down to those double targets. Not almost filling that gap and then reversing up, but that's why you use the double targets. So DAX, I'm going to be watching to see if it can get back above about 13,876. Crude continues to pull back. Remember, I told you my next pullback area, we have the rising channel, the 50, and somewhere in this box. Going to be watching for a bottoming pattern there. Just a little reversal so far, but that's not a strong bottoming pattern yet. I want to see if it can hold those levels throughout today. So we'll check on that later. Let's just check on the 4-hour. 4 hour, if we get a if this stays down here with a lower price action, then we get a close above, back above about 97.50, could be a very aggressive buy signal. Again, very aggressive, and you'd have to keep a tight stop on that because we could easily test the lower end of this box if it does roll over again, but that's something I'm keeping an eye on. Gold, again, we've already hit the first target, pausing there. We paused there earlier today at that first target price. You see that right here, little, and now rolling back through it. This, I'd wait for a reversal because we still have some lower prices from this head and shoulders, but I'm watching anywhere in here for a potential bottoming pattern. I just don't have a strong one yet. Silver also pulling back, you know, below the daily rotation zone, but we're really focusing on it's hit that first target from the head and shoulders. The major area I'm watching is 2403. If we break down again, I will watch for some shorter term patterns. But again, this is trading around the core position, which if you didn't watch my stock update all the way through the end yesterday, you should probably check it out. If you wanted to talk, you wanted to hear, I talked more about trading around the core position. Notes. Again, little bounce up, but this area 125.18 to about 125.23 is now resistance with the declining rotation zone. It can even spike higher than that, but then I'll be watching for another roll over lower. Dollar index still has this potential topping pattern in short term. Peeking in on Tesla. Tesla looking now like it's pre-market gapping up. I talked about this too. Yeah, it does favor lower prices, but we also have this potential little double here. So if it stays stronger through the open and starts rallying, if it starts rallying strong with the Nas, there's a little clear path move to about 790. But the better, there's a little aggressive play up there for a potential run up to 790 to 800. But then above 800, you have this double in play, and that is valid, especially with the first and second targets. And then the final area I talked about yesterday would be about 840 to about 844. So I'd watch for another potential topping pattern in there. But could this easily bounce before heading lower? Yes, it could. Remember, even on this little play, top of the rotation zone and 200 are right at that top of the double play also. So that's the thing. Let's see what else is going on. Besides AMC buying a pre-production gold mine in Nevada, really? I mean, are they going to get a pop off of that this morning? And AMC is just ugly, 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 ugly. So it's still, even if they do get a pop off buying a gold mine, pre-production gold mine, it's just going to roll over again. Anything else, anyone? Again, we can glance at a couple oil stocks real quick. See, Exxon, I'm watching for these bigger pullbacks in this. This is where I wouldn't be bottom picking just yet. I'm going to scan these today. Remember, we got this is a bearish like Exxon, and I'll just use this as a proxy for a lot of stuff. Higher high, last week, doji close with a breakdown in momentum. So I'm still keeping an eye on a bigger potential pullback. Anything would be super aggressive to the upside. For example, I'd have to see Exxon really, if it got a close, the only aggressive entry, and this is a proxy for a lot of them, over these last 4-hour bar highs. I do have %B entries, and again, they're aggressive because you are going against this larger term momentum pattern and fighting oil. Now, oil, you know, I'm more going to expect it to pull back a little more over the next couple days and then probably drift sideways before attempting another move up. That's why I'm not getting super aggressive just yet. So that's where we sit. I have to wrap this up a little earlier today. So I have a couple things to do. Hope everyone has a great, fantastic trading day. Again, keep an eye on those key levels, especially focus on that S&P into the open and holding this 41.77 and the Nasdaq holding about, I'll put a line here, about 13,120. All right, that's going to be the key things. And you can watch this 15-minute rotation zone. If it does dip below it, remember, don't react just on a dip. Start watching for closing because it can dip and then rebound. All right, so keep an eye off of that, but you can key off that 15-minute rotation zone in this area to see if we can get that strong rotation back up if it does pull back there on the open, because that could at least maintain. You might not have super bullish price action, but that would at least take us out of super bearish price action probably for the day. And the VIX, by the way, I didn't check in on that. Again, this is delayed slightly. I don't want that one. I want this one. See, the VIX, even though it could be up a little pre-market, there is not a lot of fear in the streets. Again, if the only thing that I'd be watching for fear to come in is if it starts getting upwards of 35 again. With that, now I will wrap it up. And by the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer-term viewers, leave some comments and hit that like button. And have a fantastic trading day. Bye for now.